What is up, guys? Sports Runs and D's are coming back at you here. And today is all about the NFL's 100th season here in 2019. We're going to be going over predictions, who's going to win each division, uh, who's going to make the playoffs, Super Bowl predictions, and eventually, at a later episode, I will be talking about fantasy football and insider secrets and all that jazz. My tips on how to win fantasy football, but that is coming at a later date and at a later time. But we're gonna start off with the AFC East. It's pretty obvious who's gonna win that division. New England. The Patriots will be going back to the playoffs again. When the AFC, I don't know how many years in a row they've won the AFC East. It's like 9, 10, 11 years in a row. So they'll win the AFC East again and punch their ticket to the playoffs. Out of the AFC North, I this was an interesting division because you got Pittsburgh. Ben Roethlisberger's still there. He's going down on the downside of his career, but you also got Juju Smith-Schuster. You got James Conner at the running back position, a decent defense as well. But I don't even have Pittsburgh making the playoffs this year, even though they have a big three with Roethlisberger, Conner, and Juju. So I don't even have them making the playoffs. I do have, there's also Baltimore, there's Cincinnati. I don't have Cincinnati making the playoffs either. Andy Dalton, AJ Green, a great dynamic duo, but the problem with Cincinnati is they've never had another player on that team to get them over the hump and to get them, when they make the playoffs, they don't go deep in the playoffs. And I think, to be honest, I think it's time AJ Green steps away from Cincinnati and goes somewhere else where he potentially has a chance to make a deep playoff run and possibly win a Super Bowl for himself. So I think it's time for AJ Green to step away from Cincinnati. But I do have the Cleveland Browns, the Las Vegas Superbooks favorite, to win the AFC North. I have them winning 10. I have them going 10-6 on the season. I do think they will win the division, even though I do think Baltimore will be right behind them. A game, I think I have Baltimore going 9-7 on the season. But I do have Cleveland going to the winning that division. Then I also have in the AFC South, there's the Colts, Texans, Titans, and Jaguars. I have the Colts winning this, not just because they had a great NFL draft, but they also just look great on paper and their defense is great. Andrew Luck is starting to become that player that he was a few years ago before he missed that whole entire season. So I really do think that the Colts will be the AFC South champs and they will punch their ticket into the playoffs. In the AFC West, this was a tough one because, you got the Chiefs and you got your boy Mahomes, you got Patrick Mahomes out there and, Travis Kelce and company out there. But there's the Los Angeles Chargers, and I have the Chargers winning this division because they are the best overall complete team in the AFC West. So I like I said, Chargers, I believe, will win the division. They will go. I have them winning 11, 12 games this season. So, like I said, Chargers will win the division. Chiefs will be close. It'll be those two divisional matchups in the regular season will be key to whoever becomes the champion in the AFC West. Now, in the NFC, actually, you know what? Let me backtrack here. Let's go to the AFC playoff picture and who I have predicted to go to the AFC playoffs. So I got the Patriots as the 1 seed, obviously. Chargers are the 2 seed because of tiebreakers and all that stuff. Even though when I checked the schedule, I did not see. I think the Chargers do play the Patriots. I could be wrong there. I might have to double check that. But if they don't play each other, it's going to come down to better home record or better road record or whatever the tiebreaker is if they both have the same record going into the playoffs. But Patriots 1, Chargers 2. I have Colts as the 3 seed, Browns as the 4 seed, And then my wild card teams are the Chiefs. The reason why I don't have the Chiefs winning the division is because they have an excellent offense. Andy Reid has done a great job with that offense, and Patrick Mahomes and Kelsey and the running backs there, Damian Williams and all these guys. And it's just they have a great offense. They don't have a great defense. Now with the NFL, with the draft and stuff, and them picking players and stuff, who knows what potential their defense is going to be this year? But the Chiefs have to prove to me that their defense is going to be a championship winning defense. And you saw that in last year's AFC title game where Tom Brady just kind of really picked them apart. And we all knew that the Chiefs did not have a great defense. And so, but their offense was winning the games. And now it's time to see what their defense is going to do. This is why I don't think the Chiefs will win the division, because the Chargers have a better defense with Joey Bosa and there's Ingram on that defensive side. There's, on the offensive side, you got Rivers, you got Melvin Gordon, you got Keenan Allen, you got all these players on the offensive side. And their backup running back, Austin Eckler, can be a nuisance on the offensive end. So in the passing game. So it's just Chargers have a more overall complete team, like I said earlier. So that's why Chiefs are going to be a wild card team in my book. I think they'll be a wild card team. And they'll have like 10, 11 wins on the season, but they'll be a wild card team. And then my other wild card team is the Baltimore Ravens. You got the second-year quarterback, Lamar Jackson, who runs the football like crazy. So I do think Baltimore's defense will get them to the playoffs, depending on tiebreakers and all that stuff. But there's also a few dark horses that you guys should not be shocked about that might make the playoffs, like the Texans. We forget about Deshaun Watson, Will Fuller, DeAndre Hopkins on that offense. We also forget about J.J. Watt, Merciless. The Texans have a good overall team and a team that can definitely make it to the playoffs, but it's all pending on health. Deshaun Watson's been hurt. Will Fuller's been hurt. Like the one, J.J. Watt's been hurt. Merciless has been hurt. So if the Texans stay healthy, they will be a team to be reckoned with in the playoffs, and they're going to be a team that no one's going to want to play against, especially with the endless effort of J.J. Watt going after the quarterback, stuffing runs, batting passes down, just doing everything he can to make it troubling for the offensive coordinator on the other team. So Texans are a dark horse for me. That's one dark horse. Jacksonville, I have Jacksonville as a dark horse because the magic carpet ride of Nick Foles, just because he's not in Philly anymore, he's still got a great defense in Jacksonville. Jacksonville's got a great defense. Is that carpet ride going to continue in Jacksonville? It might, but we'll see what happens. But, I have Jacksonville in there because don't be shocked if Nick Foles, like I said, pulls a little magic out of his carpet ride and they make it to the playoffs and kick out someone like Baltimore or, the Chiefs. It's just one of those things where you just never know. I don't think Jacksonville will win more than 10 games. I think they can win 10 games, but I don't think they'll win 11, 12 games. Because I don't think their offense is not complete. And Leonard Fournette has got to stay healthy, especially last year with that hamstring injury. That really killed not just Jacksonville overall, but a lot of fantasy football owners were really upset with Leonard Fournette being hurt. And then he came back early, and then he hurt the hamstring again, and then he was out. He ended up being out 8-9 weeks before he finally came back. So Leonard Fournette's got to stay healthy, and that's what keeps defenses honest. If you have a good run game, the passing game is going to be there too. So that's the thing with Jacksonville. Pittsburgh, like I said earlier, Pittsburgh, Juju, James Conner, Ben Roethlisberger. You got a decent defense, a pretty good secondary. So it's just Pittsburgh is probably going to be a 500 team. The only way they make the playoffs is if they find some way to beat Cleveland in the regular season matchups, or they beat Baltimore in in one of their regular season matchups. I think if they split the regular season matchups between the division rivals, I think they're going to have they'll be a wild card team and they'll kick out Baltimore, and they could easily sneak into the playoffs and give a 3 or 4 seed a run for their money going into the playoffs. Now we're going to go over to the NFC. So we got in the NFC East, we got the Cowboys, Eagles, Giants, Redskins. Giants and Redskins, see you later. There's no point they're going to be under 500 teams. So I have Philadelphia winning the division. I have them winning 11 games. They're going to go 11-5 on the season, depending on their schedule, just looking at their schedule. Cowboys, I have them as the wild card team. So, Cowboys offensively have to prove to me, like Dak Prescott's got to prove to me in this passing game that he's ready to throw the ball. Like, now, I'm not saying he's not ready to throw the ball, but it's like they just run with Zeke. And then if he gets pressured, they do a read option, and then Dak Prescott starts running it. And it's like there's no passing game, and that kind of makes it easier for defenses to set up against Dallas. But Dallas's defense was one of the best teams defensively in opponents' points per game. They only gave up like 13, 14 points a game, which was like top 4 in the league. So, Dallas is going to be a wildcard team. They're going to be a dangerous team going into the playoffs. That defense with Van Esch. You got Lawrence coming around the edge. There's a lot of good players on that defensive side of the football for Dallas. But Dallas is my wildcard team. So, but Philadelphia will win the NFC East. In the NFC North, this is probably the toughest division out of all the divisions because all these teams are about a game apart in terms of at the end of the regular season. And, for example, last year, Minnesota Vikings missed the playoffs. If they won the last game of the regular season, they would have been in the playoffs and not, and it's just unbelievable how close that division is every single year. This year, I have Minnesota winning this division. I have them going 10-6. They could go 11-5. There's a couple of games on their schedule that they can easily win, but they could easily lose as well because they're away games. There's a game against Detroit early in the season where Detroit can easily beat them. You know how loud that Detroit gets every single time someone comes into their home stadium. Ford Field will be loud and ruckus during that game. So that's a game where the Vikings might lose. But at the same time, Minnesota is very capable of winning that game. Great defense. Another team with a great overall team. Defensively, offensively, you got a lot of players on the offensive side of the football. Kirk Cousins slinging it. There's too many players on the offensive side and on the defensive side for them not to make the playoffs. So I have the Vikings winning the NFC North. I have the Chicago Bears as my second wild card team. That defense is one of the top 5 defenses with Khalil Mack, who's just all over the field all the time. Their secondary is good. The only question I have with Chicago is the kicking. That we all know about Cody Parkey in the kicking game last year, and then Mitchell Trubisky. Can we see a step up in his overall passing ability? He relied on Allen Robinson a lot last year, but they need one more wide receiver, in my opinion. They need one more wide receiver. They had Gabriel, who's a speedster, Cohen, Jordan Howard at the running back, but I think they need one more wide receiver on the offensive end, and Trubisky's going to be lights out. But Trubisky could have a career year this year. We'll see what happens. But Bears wild card team. Do not have the Packers making the playoffs. No. They lose Clay Matthews. I'm not saying they don't have a good team. They do have a good team. Aaron Rodgers finds a way to pull, wins out of. I don't know how Aaron Rodgers does it sometimes, but sometimes he just pulls out some of the craziest wins I've ever seen. So I think the Packers are a dark horse for me in the NFC. I think they can make the playoffs, but with as tough as this division is, I do think Vikings and Chicago will go to the playoffs, and Packers will be back home sitting it out on the couch. So, but in the NFC South, I got the Panthers, Bucks, Saints, Falcons here. Saints are going to win the division. Falcons could be a dark horse in this division. I think the Falcons are a good team. We'll see how Devontae Freeman bounces back from a very injury-prone season last year. Tevin Coleman. I don't think Tevin Coleman's with Atlanta anymore, which is unfortunate. But it's all in due time to see how Devontae Freeman will come back from this injury. Julio Jones, there's all this big speculation of him having a contract extension with Atlanta. We'll see what happens there. But Saints win the division. Atlanta, dark horse. They're going to be close, but we'll see what happens. And then finally, in the NFC West, we have the Seahawks, 49ers, Cardinals, and Rams. Rams are going to win that division. Seahawks are going to be a close to a wild card. There probably will be a wild card team because I think the Rams will win that division no matter what. Unless something's going on with Todd Gurley. Everyone keeps talking about this knee injury that he has. So we'll see how Todd Gurley bounces back from this somewhat knee injury. But, I don't have the 49ers making the playoffs. Could they make a run for it? Yes, they can. Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be back. George Kittle, who led all tight ends last year in receiving yards. 49ers are missing a couple pieces. They need a couple of pieces to get over the hump to make the playoffs. I don't think it's going to happen this year. I think they need one more year to rebuild, and then I think maybe in the 2020 season, we'll see what happens, but I think they can make the playoffs in the 2020 season. Cardinals, David Johnson, they got rid of, their rookie quarterback to grab another quarterback. It's just like, now they got Kyler Murray. We'll see how Kyler Murray steps up into the plate. He's not got the starting job yet. Like every coach says, they never have the starting job. They got to earn it. Kyler Murray will be the starting quarterback by far unless something, he gets injured or something like that during training camp. But I think Kyler Murray is going to be your starting quarterback there. But I don't know how he's going to do. You got the ageless wonder of Larry Fitzgerald unless something happens to Larry or, I just don't think the Cardinals are going to make the playoffs. They got pieces to rebuild. Larry Fitzgerald's on the downside of his career. He's got maybe a couple of years left. Who knows? He might retire after the season. Who knows? But we will see what happens. Going to the NFC playoff picture now. I got Saints 1, Vikings 2, Rams 3, Eagles 4, the division winners. Wildcard teams, like I said earlier, Cowboys and Bears. Dark horses, Falcons, Seahawks, Packers. You've already heard me on that one. Super Bowl prediction. This was tough. AFC, it's the Patriots. I'm just going to be honest. You guys can hate me all you want for as long as you want until the season's over. Someone's got to prove to me that they can beat the Patriots. We all thought the Chargers were going to do it last year. Nope. Stupidity on the coaching staff there, especially the defensive coordinator side. They give Lamar Jackson that 7D back look, and then they do the same exact thing the next week, and Tom Brady just picks them apart. And I would love to see, I'm not saying the Chargers didn't have fight. They did end up scoring 28 points in that game, but my problem is Chargers got to prove to me they can beat Tom Brady. Chiefs got to prove to me that they can beat Tom Brady. The Chiefs lost the regular season game last year. The Chiefs lost the AFC title game last year at home in Arrowhead. I don't think the Colts they can beat it, but they can't. Any team, the best can get beat on any night. But I personally think that no one's going to beat the Patriots. I don't think Cleveland even has the team to beat the Patriots. There's some prima donnas on that team. No offense, OBJ, but it's obvious. So someone's got to prove to me that they can beat the Patriots in the playoffs when it really matters most. Because the Patriots could have an 8-8 season, make the playoffs, and they'll still go to the Super Bowl because who's there? Tom Brady. And Bill Belichick's still there. Robert Kraft's still the owner. Someone's got to prove to some of these other AFC teams have to prove to me that they can beat New England. And right now, it's the Patriots. I got Patriots going back to another Super Bowl. This will probably be their 4th straight Super Bowl in a row. And I just don't see anyone beating the Patriots out of the AFC right now. Out of the NFC, there were 2 teams, Vikings and Saints. This was such a toss-up for me. I love the Vikings. Great overall team, like I said earlier. Saints, Drew Brees, Michael Thomas. There's just Alvin Kamara, one of the most high-powered offenses in the league. And on the defensive side, there's all sorts of players on the defensive side. There's Jordan Cameron. There's so many players on the in the secondary that can cause a nuisance. Lattimore is one of them. It's just there's so much stuff going on with this Saints team. My pick, because I want to see it more than anything else, is the Saints. I got Patriots Saints Super Bowl 54. Period. I want to see this matchup of Brady, Drew Brees, especially before they both retire, because they're both going to retire within the next 2-3 years. I want to see it happen. I would love to see it happen. It looks good on paper, but like I said, any of these other teams, like the Vikings, are definitely a Super Bowl worthy team. They can make it to the Super Bowl. Rams, can never count out the Rams, even though they lost Ndamukong Suh, a bunch of players on the defensive side. Aaron Donald, people, is still there in LA, so be careful of that one. Todd Gurley's still there. Cooper Kupp, Jared Goff still at the helm there. There's so many good players on that team. Robert Woods. All this will play out in the 2019 season here in the NFL. But I have Patriots, Saints going to the Super Bowl. Who's going to win? I'll let you guys figure that one out. And I'll tell you guys that one on a later date and time. But, I just can't go against the Patriots. It's too easy. Yeah, okay, I live in New England. Boo-hoo-hoo. Yeah, I'm biased. No, I'm not biased. I'm just being honest. Who's going to be... We all thought the Rams were going to be the Patriots last year in the Super Bowl. And what happened? The Rams laid a dud. Okay, the Rams laid an egg. And they only put up 3 points in the Super Bowl. Everyone can talk about Todd Gurley and his knee injury and stuff. Guess what? They still only put up 3 points on the board with as good of an offense as they had. One of the greatest defensive performances I think I've ever seen in the Super Bowl by the Patriots. And guess what? The Patriots don't have that coach anymore. He's now the head coach at the Miami Dolphins, even though I really don't think Miami's going to make the playoffs. There's two players. There's Josh Rosen at the quarterback, or there's Fitzmagic. I think Fitzmagic's going to be the starting quarterback there. Miami's not making the playoffs. Bills aren't making the playoffs. Bills, out of second best team in that division, is probably the Bills. The Bills surprised everyone a couple of years ago and made the playoffs. No one thought they were going to make the playoffs, and they came out, and I think they won, I think they were 9-7 that year. And they made the playoffs. They caught people all off guard. Shady McCoy's still there in Buffalo. The Jets, no, Sam Darnold's got to prove to me he can throw the football. Yeah, it's great Le'Veon Bell's there. That's great and all. Sam Darnold, you got to throw the football, man. You want to win games, you got to throw the football, period. All right, but Patriots, Saints, Super Bowl, I want to say Patriots. Saints are just as good. Saints have a more high-powered offense. Yeah, it's tough. It's so hard to go up against Belichick and Brady. They've been doing it for so long, 2 decades in the making, and I just don't see people beating the Patriots right now. I just don't. And as good as other teams look out on paper, no one's beating the Patriots. But Patriots are my clear-cut favorite to win the Super Bowl next year, no matter how good some of these other teams are. No one's proven to me that they can beat Tom Brady. No one. So, with that being said, I want to thank you guys for your time. Smash that like button. Please comment and subscribe to the channel. Let me know what you guys think of my predictions on this upcoming NFL season. I will see you guys' faces later. Deuces.